All right, so what I have for you today is an interview that I did with Carl Broadbent. His name might be familiar to you because of his YouTube channel. We make videos in basically the same space. I actually came across Carl for the first time when he won some contest with the Income School guys, and Ricky and Jim actually flew out to the UK to review his site with him and to help him out. I think those of you who enjoy hearing content creators and people who are building websites talk about their sites and talk about their progress and talk about their work and what they are doing on a daily basis, those folks are going to enjoy this interview. All right, here we go.
I don't have like a formal interview Q&A. I just love coming on and chatting to people and getting
Yeah.
to know them. And, I guess we're in the same circle. And so I've seen you a lot. And obviously you are doing the same thing that I am doing. And I suspect that in many cases you're doing it better than I am. Somebody called you out in a chat not too long ago for being the keyword whisperer. And I want to know, what is that about? I've heard a little bit about keyword care, and just what is how are you carving out this space as being a keyword expert, and what does that mean when they say that?
I think it started because from talking to Alex at WP Eagle, it was right at the beginning of his case study, Best Roof Box, and he reached out. I started doing keyword research just for my own websites, and I was finding I'd been interviewed by Ricky and Jim, and they came up to the UK and they'd give me some coaching and stuff, and they'd teach me a few little tricks to get snippets. And it was right kind of a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when people weren't going after snippets. And I was trying to find kind of keywords to get the snippets. So I was trying to jump ahead of the SERP rankings by getting the snippets rather than creating the amazing piece of content. So I was finding these keywords really easily, and I kind of don't know how I was doing it. And it just grew from that. I was just posting Facebook posts saying, got another snippet, and I'm like, right, next, just publish another article, got that snippet, and people are like, how are you doing this? I said, I don't really know. It's nothing magical. I'm just doing a lot of research. I'm drilling down a lot. I'm looking at competitors. I'm analyzing everything before I go for these. So I kind of don't know how I'm doing them, but I'm finding them. And it just seemed to be a little skill that I had. So it started growing a little bit, and I just thought, I'd help a few people out. So a few people started saying, could you find me some keywords to go after? So I found a few and went after them, and then somebody said, you should charge for this a little bit. And I thought, I thought I'll put it on the website that I had at the time, which was a bit of a personal blog. It's nothing that I was trying to rank. It was just for me to throw my thoughts and opinions on. And I added the service to it, and it started getting orders. So I started fulfilling the orders, and then it all really exploded when Alex was doing his case study, and I didn't realize it was him, but he ordered a package. So he kind of ordered the highest package, and I submitted the work to him. And then it was only a couple of days later when it kind of twigged, when he said, I'm going to do a case study, it's called Best Roof Box. I was like, I've just done a package of keywords for roof boxes. And then he texted me and said, I bought your package. And I went, all right. He said, I wanted to do a totally unbiased review of it. And he put it up on his channel, and he reviewed it. And I was, panicking, thinking, oh my goodness, are these going to be any good? What's it going to be like? And then he launched his website, his case study. And the first 25 or 30 articles he published was using my keywords. And for a very new channel, a very new website, they ranked really, really quick. And I think he got like loads of snippets. He got within about 2 months, he was on page 1 with certain articles, and it just snowballed from there, really.
All right, so then can you share the secret sauce? Then how much of the secret sauce for your process are you willing to share?
So there isn't really any secret. Like I get asked this question all along, and it's basically taking the time to do the research. I think that's the problem. People say, how do you find these? I'll say probably the same way as you, but I put a lot of time into each keyword. So that's why to be honest, I have a love-hate relationship with this keyword service, because it is very time consuming. And people say, every time I go on your website, you switched it off. It's like, yeah, because I'm a one-man band. I can only do so many hours in a day. and it has to be, financially rewarding to do it, because obviously time is money, and there's other things I can be doing to grow my own website. So it's a bit of a love-hate relationship with it, but I don't really, like I say, have any secret sauce. I use all the common factors. I look for search volume, for buyer intent keywords. I look for search volume between 100 to 200, in that kind of range. I use keywords everywhere to look for the search volumes. I use the Moz Chrome extension and look for DA authority for site, but also for page, and more particularly for page authority. So if they're targeting a keyword, I'll look at the page authority for that keyword that they're ranking for, rather than the overall domain authority, which I think is where a lot of people go wrong. So they'll look and say, wow, this website has a DA of 90, I'm never going to beat it. Well, if that was the case, I wouldn't have wrote half of my articles, because a lot rides on the page authority, not the domain authority. So I'll look at if an article like The Spruce, which is a big website, they have Spruce Pets, which is in my niche. I rank well above them in many, many keywords, and they have a DA of around 90. It's because their individual articles have much lower page authority. So I not only go after that, I look at the keyword density, I look at the amount of words written. It's basically all of that rolled into one. So, if I sat here and showed you how to do it, you'd probably go, oh, that's quite standard. And it is, but it takes time to do it. And that's the thing. And not a lot of people have got the time to do it.
Or are willing to take the time.
Yeah, it's boring. let's be honest, it is boring, to do 25, 30 keywords on a spreadsheet. And I don't usually just say this is your keyword. In the packages I've been doing, I'll give them reasons for it. So I will say I've gone for this one because on page 1 in the top 10, there's two sites with a page authority less than 20, and they're very poorly written articles, and there's a search volume of 200. Seems a great one to go for. So it's like that really, but it is laborious, it is boring, but there is nothing automated about it. I wish I could just press a button and it churned out a keyword for you. There you go, but there isn't. It's just manual searching. That's all it is.
So when you talked about keyword density earlier, are you just doing just a on-page review, or are you using any other tools to help you analyze the actual on-page content?
So I've been using Surfer SEO. I'm just about to release a video this evening why I've done that. And I'll share briefly before I release that video why I've done that. And that's because over the last couple of years, I've built up a little team of writers, and it's become quite a personal relationship with the writers, kind of a friendly, too personal, where they'll text me and message me out of hours and say, it's done, and can you pay me for this? Can you do that? It's become less business, if you know what I mean. So, which in a way is good, because we're very connected, but they've been writing their content now very much how they want it to be and how they want it to read. And it reads really well, and it sounds a great article, really enjoy reading it. However, it's not very well optimized. So for the SEO within the articles is not very good. So I've been using like Surfer SEO recently just to check some of their work and find out, if it's not ranking well, why. And I've been running the articles through there. But generally just reading other people's contents that's ranking that you're trying to rank for, and just see how they've worded it, how they've on-page optimized it, and see how it is, and try to find some weaknesses if they've over-optimized it or if they've under-optimized it, and try and find if there's little kind of low-hanging fruit we can go after that way. So,
what are your thoughts? I mean, everybody's got an opinion about the May the 4th update that just rolled out a month ago.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, and what did you see personally happen in May, and why do you think that is?
So I saw my numbers go down on one website. So I have 4 websites. One of them, my biggest website, got the biggest hit, which was a real surprise to me, because it was actually the one that I would say is the strongest, is the most original, has better content than all the competitors, and I just saw it drop. So it lost around 15,000 visitors a month, organic visitors a month, which equates to about 20,000 page views I lost a month. And there was no reasoning for it. I can't pinpoint why it is. The reason I think it's related, and this is me pointing out there, I have absolutely no data to back this up, but I think it was to do with speed, page speed. And the reason I say that is because if you go into Google Analytics, into your Google Search Console, you can see in there there's a little tab that appeared, which is Core Vital Signs, I think it is. And that has two settings, desktop and mobile. Now, all my articles, if you went onto that, you'd see all the desktop articles are all on the bottom, which means there's no issues with them. But then in mobile, all the articles are red. So I've kind of 300, 400 articles that show in red. So it's basically, this is Google saying those articles on mobile are not right. They're not user-friendly. We don't like them. There's a problem with it. Now, that's the only thing I can tie in together, because my speed on that website doesn't read right. If you actually went on it, it's actually a really good user experience. It's really quick. It feels quick, but it's not recording to Google and Page Insights testers and GT metrics. It's not reading as fast. So I think there's a correlation there between Google thinks it's not fast. All these programs and tools are saying it's not fast. So I've been penalized for that. But like I say, the user experience on the site is different. It's actually really quite good. I've got adverts running on there. I've got a lot of adverts on there, but it still runs really quickly and it feels like a good experience. But I'm pretty sure it has something to do with speed, particularly on mobile.
So what's the solution?
Try and improve it. There's no way. I don't think there's any way of unless Google release an update to say, right, we got this wrong. It's a bad core update, which is what I'm hoping and expecting them to do, because some of the relevance, it just doesn't sit right. I mean, I have articles that are sitting on page 10. They were on page 1 and they've been on there for over a year, and they're now on page 10. And on pages 9, 8, 7, and 6, you've got articles. So let's say the article's about goldfish. You've got articles on there about backpacks and clothing and stuff. It's just ridiculous. It makes no sense why an article that's relevant to the topic, relevant to the keyword, nicely written, optimized, why it's on page 10. It just doesn't make any sense. So I do believe there will be a reverse of it in some way. I don't think they'll announce it. I think you'll just suddenly see your numbers start to come back, and then realize these posts will start coming up the pages. At the same time, on May the 4th, I also had my sitemap dropped off the site, which was really strange. Don't know why, didn't notice it. It was only when my IT consultant stuff came onto the site and had a look, and he said, wow, where's the sitemap gone? So we had to resubmit a sitemap, and that started to pull a few pages back again. And we've been doing some speed changes. I've got somebody on there now who's working on the speed, because like I said, the numbers don't look good. If anybody looked at my site, they'd go, wow, you've got the slowest website in the world. And I'd be like, well, have you gone on it? Try it. Because it actually behaves very, very well, but it reads for some reason really, really poor. So we're tackling the speed. I want to get the speed number just so it's out of my head that if it's speed, I've cured it. Get me back up in them rankings. And if it's not to do with speed, then yeah, I haven't a clue what it's about. It's a very random one. I've been through a few core updates, but this was a strange one.
Well, the Web Core Vitals thing, I mean, Google just came out and said, what, in the last week or two, that next year they're planning on rolling out an update that is highly targeted at that specific issue. So, and they've said specifically, what they're going to be looking at. So folks who are just hearing about this stuff for the first time, like the term, the Core Web Vitals, to go to your Search Console and to look at the tab. I went there and I was aware of where things are at. And I have some pages on desktop and in mobile that are in the red that are bad. And for my case study, I'm running what I think of as a good theme. It's mobile responsive. I just have ads. I don't have a ton of other media on it or video or interstitials or anything, right? But still, I've got 130 of my pages are in the red that are officially bad.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, so do I need to look at it's just like, it's not site-wide though, which is confusing to me because almost all of my pages are the same, right? And those 130 aren't any different than the remainder of them, the other 270 or so. I mean, they're very, very similar. I set them up basically the same. So why those ones are bad and these ones are not,
Yeah.
not something I've figured out yet. And then I say, okay, well, what am I going to do to fix that then? Is this a hosting issue? Is this with my theme? I mean, is it time to go and dump what I'm using and then try something new? I mean,
yeah, so we've gone through the whole thing, checking the server, the hosting, which is through spiderweb.co.uk, which is really good. It's very fast hosting, so that's good. We took Xtheme off the site, which was the theme that was on there. It's quite old and heavy, uses a lot of resources on the site, so we changed that, put in a fresh, light theme on it. And I've even got to the point where we deactivated all the adverts. We took off all the videos on there, so it was clean, just text and images. The images are optimized by ShotPixel, so I knew they was good. And still got a mobile score of like 38 or something terrible like that. Left it a week or so, 10 days, and checked it again on the core vital signs. Exactly the same issues with 300-400 articles. So I don't know what it is that they're checking, but I've got somebody working on it now. If I get if I can see some results, he's quite confident he can get the website speed in like GT metrics or something to read well. And I'm hoping if it reads well, Google will see that. I don't feel it'll perform any better than it is doing for a user experience. But if it just reads, because let's face it, Google's using what it sees in these tools. That's the number it's going from. So if we can get that number to improve, I don't think it'll be any better for my users, but hopefully Google will say, hey, this site's good now, and send it back up in the rankings. But I didn't see any decline on any of the other sites. They've all steadily gone up. Again, another one's in the pet niche, so I don't know why one pet niche got targeted and the other one didn't, because that has poor speed, which is really strange, isn't it? Because if we're thinking it's the speed, that has exactly the same speed, but that's growing rapidly. So, in fact, it's now overtaken what was my biggest site. So, yeah, it's strange, because we could do all this speed, fix all that, and it could be nothing different whatsoever. So, and I'll tell you a really strange thing. This is something we're keeping an eye on. Every 3 days at 9:30, I get a ton of traffic, and it comes from Belgium, which I've Googled. Apparently, Google has a data server center in Belgium, and it comes from Belgium, and I get 2 visitors. So I've not checked yet, but I think one's on mobile, one's on desktop, to each article, and it runs from 9:30 to 11 o'clock. And then at 11 o'clock, it just goes, it disappears, and it's 757 visitors every 3 days. So I don't know what to make of that. My IT consultant just keeps saying, Google hates you. Like, it's checking up on me every 3 days, that's for sure. But normally, if you get anything weird like that, it's usually bots crawling your site, and they don't register for ad revenue or anything. They don't show up. It's irrelevant. But this is showing up. So I get paid for it. Great little bonus, but it is literally as if it's users, but it obviously can't be. But it is very strange, and it hits bang on. I can literally watch my phone, and it'll start at 9:30, and it runs bang on 11 o'clock, and then they just go. So I end up with 50-60 visitors on the site at any one time, and then it just slowly goes to 4 or 5, the usual rate.
So what theme are you using now?
Do you know what? I knew you were going to ask that. I think Base WP is one of them on one of the sites, but the other site, my biggest site, I actually don't even know what the theme is. My IT consultant said it's the fastest, it's the lightest. He's put it on there, and yeah, I haven't even checked. So I'm not tech savvy like that. I'm good at producing content, but that's about it.
So I can't imagine then that you were trained as a website content creator, publisher at university. I mean, what are you still working, or have you made the jump to full-time doing this online? And if not, what is your day job? Like, what is your other career?
Yeah, so I've made a massive leap this year. So I was a supermarket manager for a big store, huge store. And I was at quite a senior level, so that was good. Quite very good salary, to be honest. live in a lovely part of the UK, all's good. And then 2 years later, lo and behold, I stepped down from that position. I wanted to do it full time at the point I did. However, my big boss at the time said, I want to keep you in the business. I want you here, even if it's just for a couple of days. And it's a bit of security for you. Yes, you're bringing in this income, but is it the same money every week or every month? Is it growing? And it's kind of up and down. So I was like, I see what you mean. So I've gone part-time at that job, which is still a huge loss in salary. But obviously I'm making the money from this, doing it for the part-time to hopefully eventually going part-time. I'm hoping for Christmas. I'd like to be out of that job by Christmas. It's a very stressful job to be in at Christmas, working in a supermarket of this size. It's like the biggest one where we live. So I would like to be out of it by Christmas, but I'll only do that when I know it can provide a stable income. The minute it produces an income, and some months it's phenomenal. I've never had any poor months for quite some time, so that's nice. It's always had a certain amount, but I'd like to hit kind of a certain amount for maybe 6 months every month, and then I can say, to the wife, look, it's time to do it, and she'll be like, prove it. Like, how much money you made? I can say this much every month, and then she'll be more like, okay. So obviously I don't want to put my family at risk. We live a comfortable life. I've already done that by stepping down a bit, but the money I make now and the time I can put into this business now is I grow it. The more time I put into it, the more it grows. So that was the reason I stepped down at work. I said, I need more time. It's not that I didn't like my job. It's not that it was badly paid or anything. Like I say, it was a really good job. I wanted more time to put into this, see if I can actually make it work. And so far it's paying off. So I'm happy at the minute.
Does anything that is going on with the algorithm, what we're seeing, like we saw tons of changes last year, and so far this year it's been fairly turbulent.
Yeah.
Does any of what is going on there impact your plans to try to be done by Christmas?
No, not really. It does. It is worrying. I mean, I must admit, I was ready to produce a video this morning just saying how March and April and especially May has been so traumatic. I found it really stressful looking at my phone every 2 minutes, looking at the sales, looking at the traffic. But I think the best thing I did when I started this through Income Skills advice when they came to my house was focus on traffic. Get traffic. If you've got traffic, you'll always find a way of monetizing. You'll always be able to get money from that niche or blog. So although it has dropped, I've had other sites and other ventures coming up. So while one's gone down, the other's gone up. So I've actually managed to stay quite stable. And it doesn't affect what I'm going to do. I don't think so. I think it just means you've got to work a little bit harder. You just got to keep going, push through it, get support from each other. It is hard. There are days where I get up. Today was one of them where I just thought, I see no movement on any numbers, nothing different. And I just thought, there's nothing different today than there was last week. What am I doing? What is this all about? But then you see other examples where people have lost all their income, their sites have totally gone, and you just think, well, I'm actually not in a bad place. I've lost 20% of my traffic on one site. It's not the end of the world. There's worse things going on in the world. It's only a website at the end of the day. So I do feel sorry for the people that have relied on that income for their living, to pay their bills and stuff, especially anybody who had a travel site or anything like that. They've found their incomes wiped out overnight. So, I do feel sorry for those. But again, I keep talking to a lot of people in that niche, and I keep saying, just imagine in the next 6 months when the restrictions and the lockdowns are done, everybody's going to want to go on holiday. Everybody will hit your site. You will see phenomenal growth in the next year. So my advice to them has been, plan for that growth now. Start getting that content now, ready for 6 months' time. Prepare yourself, plan, and you'll reap the rewards then. It's very, very hard now, but use that time productively.
So then what else? I mean, I have a family like you. Mm-hmm. And so for me, the idea of putting all of my eggs in one basket is just more than I can stand. So for me, I'm constantly working on multiple streams of income because I want to plan for one of them just to go poof, right? To just be gone. And then I don't know what stat I was listening to. Maybe I was listening to Graham Stephan or someone was on YouTube and said that most said many millionaires have up to or around 7 streams of income, and say, okay, how many streams do I have? And, many of them are small. Are you making plans to try to add additional income streams so that you can disaster proof your revenue and to stabilize your family? And if so, what areas are you looking to move into?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've launched a new website around 4 or 5 months now, and that's something totally different for me because it's totally focused on high ticket items. Since the Amazon, crash with their fees, I am totally focused now on high ticket items. I think it's the way to go. So I've launched this new website that's got high ticket items, but also I've organized it in different ways. So I've always been trying to rank individual articles. And this website, what I've done is I've launched a website with 5 landing pages. And these landing pages have got all the high ticket items on. Now, all the blogs that I'm going to write and all the content, everything's going to be produced, is all to send traffic to those 5 pages. I've never done that before. I've always tried to rank every individual article. But in this case, if each article just sends 20 people a month to the landing page, that's great. So I've kind of built this new website which is quite diverse. It's different to what I'm doing. And then, yeah, absolutely, diversification is the key. The YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, if I'm 100% honest, it was another form of income that I can help people at the same time. I can make some income from it. So it just seemed like a good idea to do. So that's another form of income coming through. But yeah, definitely you need to diversify. It's one of the things that I've looked at. And if you can't diversify away from your website, then diversify away from the products and the type. So get away from Amazon, try a different affiliate, try lead gen, try anything, try drop shipping, whatever you can do within your niche. If you can't get out of that niche or you can't start something else, then diversify in what you're doing already. And that will help. But yeah, I totally agree. You've got to. And I'm lucky with these sites that there's 4 sites, and I've got the keyword service, which has brought in a really good income. I then got another pet niche, which is doing really well. But then I've got the other pet niche that's sunk. But then I've the new website that's coming up. And I've also got the YouTube channel that's coming up. So, and could I launch another service around, the keywords and stuff like that? I could probably launch another service like that. So you can try different things, but diversification, especially in the next couple of years, I think is vital because there's so many changes going on in affiliate marketing. I think it's really important that you do look even outside the box and something different.
Have you given any thought to an app or a SaaS product?
I'd love to do an app. Yeah, I really would. Like I say, you'll know I'm not very computer or tech savvy at all, but I think I'd be at the point where I'd come up with the idea and fund it. But yeah, definitely, yeah. Like I said to you before, my services that I do at the moment, I'm not automated in any way. I haven't even got the email autoresponder set up. I get an order pops up on my phone, and it's me at 2 o'clock in the morning typing, "I will do your keyword service in the morning." It's literally, that's about how set up I am. But yeah, I would love. I do think there's a really good audience for services, and I think there is a good income. Anybody who watches my income reports will see last month the biggest majority of my income came from that service, which was always for me a part-time side hustle kind of thing. So yeah, I would love to create something like that, but it's like everything, it's time and money, isn't it?
I mean, is there any part of it that you could train someone else to do or outsource any part of that?
There is, and I have tried to teach somebody to do the keyword search, and the problem is they don't take as much care, and as I'm passionate about it, if I'm putting my name to something, I want it to be the best it can be. I'd hate to give somebody a package and then go, well, all 25 of those were useless. I would just hate that. And I never got into this to make income from a service where I'm physically sat at a keyboard for 10 hours trying to do it. I wanted it to be passive, and that's the side of the income I want to grow, the passive income, which I know is a bit of a myth. and nothing's ever going to be passive. And even my websites need updating and need fresh content, so they're not passive, but they're certainly more passive than doing a service. So if I could come up with an app or something like that, that would possibly still be a way to go. Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. I like the idea, but implementing it is probably not going to be my strongest suit. But I know some people who know.
There's a big gap, right, between the beginners who don't know anything and haven't started, and then the people who are successful, like really successful, like skyrocketing, awesome, $30,000-$40,000 a month successful, but then the in-betweens. And I was talking to Doug Cunnington about this, and he's like, it's really hard to get people to create content and want to do videos in the on the way part of the journey, because people don't want to, they're ready to come out and talk about their journey when they've achieved their goal, when they are officially a success. But the people on the way have a harder time coming out and talking about where they are, because they haven't succeeded as far as their definition of success. But it seems like those are the videos that are the most valuable to people who are one step behind or who need to get started. And I mean, Doug says those videos tend to perform the best on his channel as compared to the ones where they have the big wins, which I think we all aspire to. So I just applaud you for coming out and doing it.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, nobody enjoys their sites or businesses doing poorly, but when mine have, I've been happy to share it, because it's what's happening in my life, it's what's happening on my websites, and it's not all good. And I'm happy to share the good and the bad, really, because, like I said, I think sometimes the bad experiences, they help people more. The amount of people who, when I said my website lost 15,000 organic searches, the amount of people that said, "Oh, it's not just me then," it's not. It's everybody gets hit. If you think I'm good at this, then it's hit me. So it can, it's irrelevant kind of what level you are. We're all, we all have successes and we all have failures, and I'm happy to show both, to be honest. So. It's funny, I was talking to Alex about this the other day, and was on about sites getting hacked, and he said, you've made your website public, and I said, yeah, and you have, and I said, do you ever worry about it getting hacked or somebody doing negative SEO on your site? And the first thing Alex turned around and said is, yes, I have, but it'd make great video content.
I really like that guy. He's so funny and real. I can see why he's got 45,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm amazed he hasn't got more. He's had very steady growth, but it's been very slow, steady growth. So, I'm shocked, because he's got some amazing tutorials out there, especially some of these big, long 4-hour ones. It's, I can't even imagine filming a 4-hour tutorial.
Well, I can't imagine that that's the kind of content that would go viral. That's not something that YouTube would promote as, catching fire, but because it is good content, like you said, and I mean, it's evergreen. It's still going to be out there and still be useful. And so he's just catching the people over and over and over again, just new people coming in and people finding him and just hanging on to him. People aren't jumping off ship. They're just staying with them. And so seeing his channel gives me hope that one day I could take this little thing that I have and then be able to grow it into something like that. The niche isn't so small that it couldn't grow to a channel.
Yeah, I mean, I reciprocate what you said earlier, and I love your style, of your, how relaxing. I like nothing better to see you when you say I'm doing all that shit, and you got a big mug of coffee or you got your water, and it's just like, right, let's hang out, and that's great. I mean, when I do live streams, it'll be exactly that. There'll be nothing formal about it. It will probably be me on a Friday or Saturday night with a beer in my hand, just saying, let's just chat.
I don't honestly think that people need more information. At this stage, where we are, I think of us as intermediate folks. In the intermediate stage, I don't think it's more information, and it's not teaching that we need. It's like having this conversation, which is valuable to us. I learned something in this conversation, but mostly what I got was being able to connect to someone who knows what I'm going through, and I know what they're going through, and so that there's that moment, because otherwise you're just in your house and your family thinks that you're selling weapons to the Ukraine, and they don't know where the money comes from. Is it drugs?
I get asked all the time, what do you do? And I still to this day do not know how to describe what we do. I usually just say I design and build websites, and the first thing they always go is, can you build me one? And it's like, no. no, I'm not. So I don't know what to call it, what we do. So you say affiliate marketing, and they haven't a clue. So I just say I build websites, and then they think I'm some IT tech specialist that can fix their laptop or something. You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, I just write content. That's all I do.
John Dykstra, I think he calls himself a digital publisher.
Yep.
And
yeah.
I mean, really, I'm a content creator more than I am a website builder, even though I do start websites and I post content to them. But really, I'm basically a content creator. That's what I am here on YouTube. That's what I am for all of my blogs. That's I have this podcast now. I start a podcast, and I'm really just a content creator on all of these various platforms.
Yeah, I like that. Content creator, I like this. I like that. So I've used that one a few times. So I keep throwing the I'm a YouTuber into my sons, and then they just laugh.
But the truth is, you actually are a YouTuber and and a social media influencer. I think you can legitimately say you're an influencer now.
My son's quite impressed. He keeps going, oh, you're getting a few subscribers. He's actually very impressed. He keeps egging me on. He keeps saying, it's been 3 days now since your last video, Dad. You need to produce a new one. So, and they're very accommodating. Like I said, they're upstairs now. They could be barging in here, but they're all like, just leave Dad, let him do his. They're really good with that, So
well, because they understand YouTube is important.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. After Alex's 2.5 hour one, they were queuing in the kitchen I opened the door to a line of family members. That was quite funny. But yeah, no, they've been very supportive, to be honest. But to call myself a YouTuber is a little strange at the minute. But content creators definitely. I certainly produce more content than I do anything else. That's my biggest focus.
I have been able to start calling myself a YouTuber. I mean, once you get to 1,000 subscribers and it's like, you feel like, okay, like I'm legit, like I'm actually a legit YouTuber now. I make money from YouTube.
I looked at Social Blade the other day. Somebody said to go on Social Blade, and it shows you like you predicted the rate you're going now. Like predicted, and it said in 6.5 years I'll have 1 million subscribers. So there you go. That's something to go for. 6.5 years we've made it.
Oh, it doesn't account for niche at all, right? Like not at all.
No, well, like I said, Alex has got 45,000 subscribers. He's been at it years,
Yeah.
So.
Well, if you believe Social Blade, it says in 12 months I will have 10,000.
Right. Okay.
But it's really hard for me to believe that when I'm putting on like 3 subscribers a day. Like, no.
But it is it's that snowball effect, though, isn't it? So it's once you hit a certain amount, it's it just skyrockets. I know you mentioned Catherine Manning. Her rise to fame has gone. I was with her from, I think she had 5,000 subscribers, and then she hit 20,000, and something in the algorithm just went mental. And she went from 20,000 to 130,000 in like 6 months.
I think part of that is that it was YouTube content. Yeah. It wasn't other content, I think. And you notice a lot of people have these meteoric rises are on videos that are about YouTube.
Yeah. Because everybody, especially when everybody's locked down, everybody wanted to start channels and start filming. And
I think YouTube promotes content about
their
YouTube.
Own growth. Yeah.
I do.
This is the person that wants to promote my business. I'm not going to ignore them. Yeah. Totally agree. Yeah. Something to be said.
Well, so you have been very kind to speak to me for almost an hour. And briefly, before we go, I want to if you're okay with it, touch briefly on your experience with COVID-19. And the reason that I want to go there is because I regularly here in the United States talk to people who do not believe that it's a real thing. And I don't know how, it just happened to me yesterday. I was speaking to someone in person from 6 feet away. And they said, I don't know a single person who has had COVID-19. Nobody I talked to has ever talked to someone who has had COVID-19. And I feel like it's our responsibility, as much as we can, to say, this is a real thing, regardless of what your politics are and where you stand on what is going on. I know people, not just because I know you, but other people who have been through this. And so, but as I understand it, both you and your wife were diagnosed with it?
Yeah. So we got it started off. I was at work. I just had a little tickly cough, and one of my bosses said, "You're coughing all the time." I said, "I'm not." They said, "You are." And I said, "Well, I don't think I am. I didn't realise." They're like, "You are. Every now and again, you got a little tickly cough." So they said, "You need to go self-isolate." And I said, "Well, it's funny. I've just had a phone call from the wife. She's not very well. She thinks she's got it, and if somebody else in your family has it, you have to go self-isolate for 2 weeks." So, well, I self-isolated for 2 weeks, and she was quite poorly from it. She had a spell where she was really bad. We had the ambulance service, the paramedics came out 3 times to the house. Didn't want to take her into hospital because, it was kind of seen as, once you go into there, it's you may not come back out. So they kept her at home, and then she started to physically recover a little bit. And then that was about 2 weeks into it. And then I got it really full blown. I only had a few days where I felt really poorly, like as if I had a really bad flu. But after that, it was just breathing, chest pains and breathing. And I noticed the biggest problems. I went to take some trash and rubbish out, and I got to the end of the drive, came back, and I just collapsed. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't catch my breath. And I went up to bed and fell asleep. I don't think I woke up for like a full day. And then after that, it was just, everything was hard. I couldn't walk. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. Couldn't play with my children, I couldn't kick a football about. I wasn't like kind of bedridden and really, really, I wasn't like dying of man flu. It didn't feel like that. I'd sit here and I'd be talking to like you, and I couldn't catch my breath. And then anytime I tried to do anything, I lost my breath. And it went on 5 weeks. 5 weeks I had it. Quite bad for 5 weeks. The wife is only just now recovered, so we're probably now 8 weeks into it now. And she's only just physically recovered. And I've still not 100%. I'm getting some terrible chest pains. I went out for a round of golf today, the first time I've been out of the house in 3 months kind of thing. And, I managed a few holes, but I felt horrendous, So yeah, it is real. It is really serious. And, to put this into perspective, in the village that we have here, there's been 5 deaths from it. So, it is terrible. There's test centres here. They're like drive-through. So it's a huge car park, and there's these drive-through bays, and you just queue up and you just go through the bay and you get tested, and then 48 hours you get your diagnosis. But there is nothing they can do. There's nothing they can treat you with. All they can do is, if you get really, really bad, they can give you air, the oxygen. That's all they can give you. There's nothing for it. You just got to ride it out. And unfortunately, some people that have weaker conditions and elderly and more vulnerable, they're not recovering from it. It is really, really serious. And I wouldn't wish it on anybody. We've the last 2 or 3 months have been hell. They really have. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, if somebody is watching this and wants to know more about you or your keyword service or about anything else that you do, where should they go to find you?
Probably head over to my YouTube channel. Just search Carl Broadbent. Thank you very much. It's I'm putting a lot of things on YouTube in a minute. They can go over to Facebook. I'm on Facebook. My website, keywordcare.com. That's where the service is. But the best, just go through YouTube, message me through there, through the chat, and I usually reply to as many as I can. So, Facebook as well. I'm on there as well. Just search Carl Broadbent. You can't miss it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you so much for willing to come on here.